Gruesome Magazine.
Hello, once again, I'm your host, Doc Rodden, and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest in streaming and video on-demand horror movies. Each week, my co-hosts Jeff Mohr, Crystal Cleveland, Dave Dreher, Christopher G. Mohr, and myself will take a look at various spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. Tonight, we're reviewing Freaks vs. the Reich. You probably haven't heard about this, but you're going to want to hear about this. So hang tight. Let's find, let me introduce you to the rest of the crew here, starting off with the one and only Jeff Mohr. Jeff, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Once again, I had many things to say. I decided not to say any of them. I'm so glad we did this movie. Let's put it that way.
All right. I'm glad too. All right. Also joining us is Crystal Cleveland, the Living Dead Girl. How you doing?
Good. I'm glad Jeff found this one. This was a Jeff call. And when we heard the name, we thought one thing. And then when we saw the trailer, we knew we were in for something much more.
That's just one of those trailers you get in the emails. And I watched it and went, hey, this looks kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Also joining us is award-winning filmmaker, Christopher G. Mohr.
This film is my favorite reason why I'm on this show. I mean, these type of finds, because, you know, we come across a lot of films, but this is a rare find that really more people need to see.
It's a diamond in the rough.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we used to say. We used to look for.
And the movie Aladdin.
It's a diamond hidden in a shadow or something. I don't know.
Hidden in the foreign movie section.
Yeah, there we go.
All right, so what we're going to do tonight...
Our analogies are not working, so let's go.
No. We're going to start off giving our first impressions. Those first impressions will be spoiler-free. Then we're going to dive into discussion, and we'll probably have to get into the spoilers and maybe some graphic ones. And then we'll wrap things up with our score 1 to 5 and our favorite scene.
Just off the rails.
Christopher, don't do
control.
that.
Okay.
We hope that you enjoy not only this review, but many others we have on the site. And if you do, please hit the like, subscribe, share with a friend. Buttons, they're free and easy to do, and each one will help us find more horror fans just like you. Yes. Before we get going, I just want to stop and say that we are celebrating 10 years of podcasting. We started in 2013 with Evil Dead in April of that year, and been at it ever since with Horror News Radio, Decades of Horror, Gruesome Magazine, and it's kind of amazing, and we'll be celebrating all year long, and the celebrations will conclude with our inaugural Grue-Crews.
Grue-Crews.
The Grue-Crews
Welcome,
soon will be part of your travel plans.
There
The
you go.
Grue-Crews promising something for horror fans.
Oh, it's
Wow,
even
look
did
at
better.
that.
Yeah,
Yes.
I like it. Come
Ladies
on.
and
That's
gentlemen.
I'm thinking
wonderful.
like Rudy
Yeah.
Valley there. Had some nice,
Yeah.
had some nice 20s vibrato in there.
All right, well, that'll
and I
happen.
like the lyrics. It's like,
It was great.
Thank you very much.
That'll happen in February 2024, so check it out. It's on the site and links down below. All right, let's take a look at the card and get things going. All right. Oh, shit, she said. Freaks vs. the Reich 2023, available theatrically, VOD, and digital on April 28, 2023. Synopsis is Rome, 1943. Matilde, Cencio, Fulvio, and Mario are the main attractions of the Mezza Piotta Circus, run by Israel. Meanwhile, someone starts looking for the four freaks with a plan that could change the fate of the whole world. Directed by Gabriel Mariente. Written by Gabriel and as well as Nicola Guaglione. Yeah.
Guaglione.
Yeah, and forgive me, but I'll go through these names. The cast includes Claudio Santamaria, Aurora Giovanazzo, Pietro Castellito, Giancarlo Martini, Giorgio Tirabassi, Max Mazzata, and Franz Rogowski. Franz Rogowski. I was trying to do that in Italian, and it's just not.
It's a duck.
It's not the worst. It's not the worst you've ever.
That's
done.
actually
I mean,
better. I think Italian
yeah.
works a little bit better for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what that says. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to dive into our first impressions. And Jeff Mohr, sir, you are up first.
Well, I was a little hesitant about this because, when I saw the title, Freaks versus the Reich, I remember thinking...
Asylum pictures.
No, I was thinking like Dead Snow or something like
Zombie
that,
bird.
I mean, it's entirely not that, but wow, what a wonderful movie. I just, God, I had a great time. It is. And then I saw it's 2 hours and 20 minutes long. And I thought, oh no, but holy cow. Didn't bother me a bit. I was entranced the entire time. Usually I'm like typing notes or something. And at some point I just went, stop. I can't miss anything, because I got to look down when I type. So there was so much to see. The visual delights and the characters and all the stuff they went through and the elaborate world that they built was just great. I loved it. And I don't know what else to say without starting to spoil it. The young girl is awesome. And all of these actors are good, but Aurora Giovinazzo plays Matilde, and she is amazing, absolutely amazing, and probably makes everybody else better and makes the movie better. And the effects are incredible as well. I mean, there's some amazing effects in different places that are impressive. So I think I'll stop there because it was great. The music was fun too. It was, geez.
All right.
God, yeah.
All right. I think we're going to have a lot to say about this. Christopher G. Mohr, what was your first impression of Freaks versus the Reich?
This is one of my favorite things I've watched this year so far.
Oh, wow.
This is a gorgeous accomplishment. This is like Del Toro meets Tim Burton with a sprinkling of Steven Spielberg. It is really a brilliantly well-told tale with gorgeous production design, great costumes, great special effects. The special effects make some of the Marvel special effects look bad. It's really well done. It's got great. I'm not saying that. I mean, because Marvel special effects has been up and down because of them, being slammed and having to do so much in a short period of time. But this is a beautiful fairy tale. And I think the only problem I have with it is the name of the film. I think they need a better name that better encompasses what this film is about, because I think it creates a false representation of what you're about to see. I was not expecting to be enthralled by everything that happens in this. You have really well done characters. You have the actress in this is amazing. Yeah, I can't say enough good things about it. And it has so many, the way the story plays out. And I think to a lesser filmmaker, they probably would lean too much. I mean, because you have characters that fell. I mean, you have like a group of mercenaries that are almost like a goofy troop from like a Tim Burton film, but but it's not so overly goofy to where you don't believe them, And you have these interesting freakish characters that have their own things. They're almost like X-Men mutants to some degree. But yeah, this is a really beautifully told tale from beginning to end. This is one of the few times I've had films that are an hour and 20 minutes that I felt like an eternity. This felt like it breezed by, and I didn't want it to end. This is a beautiful accomplishment. This feels like an American movie, to be honest. Not to say foreign films can't be like American, but it's very American and it's telling, other than just and not being done in English. But yeah, and I love a lot of the elements in it and the characters and also this also doesn't pull any punches. It's very violent at times. There's full frontal nudity at times. There's a sex scene that I've never seen before in a film before, but I'm okay with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's there are not enough good words in the English language or any language to say how pleasantly and excitedly surprised I am about this. And I'm glad Jeff brought this to our attention, because this is the reason, like I mentioned at the beginning, this is the reason I love doing this, is finding these films I never heard about or never come across, and to be like, where did this come from? This is a diamond, you know, that everyone needs to see. It's such a beautiful, wonderful film that I can't say it. I am really blown away by this film.
Blown away.
Great, glad.
Crystal, what is your first appearance of this film that's also known as Freaks Out, which is equally bad name for a title?
Yeah, but that's probably the worst part of the movie, is the title, honestly. I mean, it's a wonderful movie. So what's cool about it is it's a horror movie for sure. It's totally horror, but it has these fantastical fantasy elements to it that I just loved. Like, there were moments where I was like, that's precious. Like the shooting out of the cannon and the kiss and the way that whole thing works. I love the way it was done. I love the way it was shot. This movie's beautiful. It's really, really attractive. All the acting was great. I didn't have a single problem with any of the actors. Like, actually, the story is so wild and weird, but I really enjoyed it. And there was clearly a character arc. It was a little bit sad at points. I mean, but that's what happens with movies like these. The sex scene was my favorite. I was like, actually,
it was so surprising.
it wasn't. Well, so what's interesting about it is, like, I saw it and I was like, I wasn't shocked that they were like, I was just shocked that it was happening at all. How like brazen it was. I was like clutching my pearls, but I enjoyed it. I totally enjoyed it and loved it. Okay. Don't get me wrong. I was just like, oh, I wasn't ready for that for some reason. Cause this movie just has so many different elements, and
yeah, it's not a Disney film.
But some of it seems so pure and sweet and innocent. And then you have that, but it works together. So I don't know. I kind of dug it.
In the backdrop of World War II, you know, it gets, you know, the innocent of our lead character against, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but yeah.
No, that's okay.
A whole lot of
like, I'm fine. Yeah. But it felt period. It felt where it belonged. And that's, I mean, I think in any movie, that's a big win just on its own, for it to actually feel like it belongs in that time. The sets were amazing. Oh my God. Like, we've talked about it before, and this movie cost, you know what, 13 million euros, which is like $14.3 million. And for $14.3 million, they made an incredible movie. Like, the production value looks way more expensive. Like, it's amazing. But it's not just beautiful. It's good. I enjoyed it. I liked it. And I would watch more of it. So, yeah, I would be shocked if this doesn't make it in my top 10.
Oh, I mean, nice.
Yeah. 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 Nice. It's beautiful. I mean, like, it's unfortunate that this movie, I have never heard anything about it other than from Jeff, and I have a feeling no one else has heard about it, so I hope more people do.
Yeah, I'm hoping people will watch this and seek it out. I had a great time with this as well. Again, when I saw the title, I immediately just went like, okay, this is going to be a campy asylum type of movie, but it's not. It is it's like you said, it's innocent in some ways, but it's also it's rich, right? It's full of details, full of history, it's full of very serious subject matter during that time, and it handles it wonderfully. And the leads are absolutely fantastic. Everybody actually is fantastic, but like you said, the young lead lady is amazing. But the three compatriots of hers are equally fascinating. They're just they feel like a family, right? They just feel like a family. I will admit that the film didn't capture my attention right away. Oh. It did take me myself a little time to warm up to it, but once I did, man, I was all in, and I was just like sucked into it. And next thing you know, it was over, and I was like, wow, that was awesome. I do want to mention, we haven't talked about Franz, the villain, the antagonist, is a little over the top, but the motivation behind him totally makes every action he does 100% authentic. You believe this character would do this. You find out why. He has his own arc that ends. It ends a couple.
Well,
times.
He's a freak too, right?
Yeah, he's the one with the six fingers. But he also.
No, but I mean, he could see the future.
He also has a.
Well, I think that element
added
so much to it.
Yeah. So there's a lot going on with him, and his. Yeah, and what he thinks he is to the Reich, which just leads to is the primary conflict of the story. But there's a lot of conflicts going on. There's internal conflicts. There's the historical conflicts that play a big part of it. It's well written. It's well structured. Although I would have said that it's not very Hollywood. I was thinking it was very European in its structure. It reminded me of some French fantasy films.
Oh yeah.
More so. But I'm just gonna say it's great, and I think everybody should see it. It's kind of like the RRR for me this year. So.
I was just going to say the thing that I loved about it, that thinking back on it, is as many movies as we watch, as I'm going through the movie, periodically there was like, oh, I hope they're going to do this with this scene. Every time they far exceeded anything I could have imagined what they were going to do. It was surprises at every turning point. I just absolutely loved it.
I definitely didn't see where this was going. No. I had no idea where this movie was going.
Well, and now that we're kind of in spoiler,
we are in spoiler chest.
I mean, I love how the villain, because he knows about the future, how he incorporates that future into his music, where he's playing like Creep by Radiohead on the piano.
Creep was the best.
And if you notice it, Rubik's Cubes were not made until 1974. Right. So there's Nazi Rubik's Cubes. So like, and actually, if
Sweet Child of Mine was in it too.
Yeah, Sweet Child of Mine. Also, if you watch through the end credits, they show the artwork that he drew of all the future things that happened. But yeah, I love that kind of aspect of knowing. I mean, because when that first shot, when you go into these pictures and there's a picture of an iPhone, and you're like, what? Wait, what is going on here?
Right?
Yeah, and I mean, I will say the little thing where he has the visions and stuff is a little much, but I didn't
think so.
It didn't bother me that much. I was like, I don't know about that. But it didn't bother me that much. But yeah, I love that aspect of it, because yeah, when you have a character that kind of knows how things are going to play out, and you're like, oh, and he's trying to stop it at every turn. But yeah, things like that, you're like, but I will say, I'm kind of surprised that you didn't get into it, Doc, in the very, because I was from the get-go.
Beginning.
That introduction to each one of the characters was one of the most beautiful openings.
And he's playing the theremin. If you have a theremin in your movie, I'm in.
I know, and I was like, and that's why and also just how it goes from that to the war stuff, where the camera is done one shot through all of that.
Yes,
that is some of the best filmmaking. In one shot I've seen.
I think that's about. Yeah,
I think they cheated.
Is that one?
But that's fine. That it still seemed like one shot.
But that's Yeah,
I felt the same thing. I was like,
and I mean, just how they
hear the planes.
Yeah, but how they filmed it, you know, because there's times where like the
It's
camera was
beautiful.
like wonky and still moving and stuff. I mean, I was like, wow, this filmmaker who I was looking, I think he's only made one other feature. He's
Yeah.
made a lot of shorts.
what?
Yeah. And so this looks like this is
What?
this is
Who
this is
this
perfection
person?
in how this is all created because of just and you know, with the budget. In my head as a filmmaker, I'm like, oh my God, you have horses, you have a train, you have running through woods, you have people shooting, you have a tank. There's a lot of elements in this.
Just
That
costuming
if this were a
alone.
Hollywood film, it would be over $100 million.
Yes.
Definitely.
It's and you tiger. I mean, you have animals. You have. I mean, a lot. Of course, you have a lot of CGI stuff like bugs and stuff, but
which were done well.
But all the production
I didn't
side
have
from
a
that,
problem with them.
from the of course the main circus, the German circus, the room, all the weird rooms with like the fire room, and I mean, I was just like, wow, there's so much attention to detail in this,
especially during the end,
or even the bad guy's lair.
He's
got that little fan thing above the little bronze cross thingy, and just the layout of that, I was like, there's that feels very Del Toro. It feels very Tim Burton, you know, and even the war thing felt very Spielberg. So I felt like they were definitely influenced by a lot of different things, but they created something that a lot of kinetic, beautiful cinematography in this. Right. I mean, I maybe want to seek out some of his other stuff because this film is really well done, you know, and they have these actors that just perfect in their specific parts and their roles, you know, and
there's some striking visuals, like when the train leaves the station and all the luggage is still sitting on. Just the way that was done, and the floor of the circus for Franz, you know, just how it looked.
Well, they pulled the Schindler's List thing with the when they had the lineup of all the freaks, you know, you had the person with the split hand or whatever, and they pulled the thing where they threw the bodies in that burn chamber or whatever, and you see that hand, and I was like, wow, these people are not playing with telling a story that could easily walk that fine line. You sort of
it could trigger.
Yeah.
Some people,
You ever see the movie Life is Beautiful? How it kind of deals. Some people have problems with how that has the humor aspect of it, and this has humor. It has all these other elements, but it's very respectful, especially with the main the owner of the circus guy.
Franz,
he's Jewish.
Oh, that one, yeah, Israel.
Introducing that aspect in it, and also this is one of those times where I didn't have a problem with the young girl, her decisions. You know, she just wants to be with her father figure. So I think we see movies like, why do they do that? Like, we just make excuses like they're just a kid, but I could see that, you know.
Her reluctance to use her power, because it had gotten away from her once before, and it reminded me a little bit. If anybody's read those, the Thomas Covenant, the Unbeliever books, he has a magic power that he never wants to use, and it goes to the point of, you know, you're like, because I'm like screaming at the screen, do it, you have to do it. But they played it. I thought they played it great. It was wonderful.
You need to save it for the end. But but I mean, the characters are rich, and their relationships between each other are so well drawn out. Even for Franz, you know, he has his lady friend that is. There's a touching scene with him and her at the end. That was really well visually realized.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Well, that gun that he had, I mean,
what was that?
I've seen those guns in movies before.
That was like the Joker's gun.
It was like the Joker gun, yeah. But maybe not quite that exaggerated, but he was, yeah. I mean, the scene when he confronts his brother is so well done, and, you know, I like your suit kind of thing, you know, and what it meant, and what he does after that.
I love I mentioned this earlier, but the rebellion people where they've all like lost limbs or eyes, or
one's a
and
hunchback,
even the one she's a hunchback. You know, it's like
right.
I think in a lesser filmmaker, they would have not been able to pull that off, having these sort of goofy type characters, but they really pull it off to where you kind of and I talk about surprises. When I was like, why do they keep talking about get the cow?
Yes. I couldn't tell what he was talking about either.
I was like, what are these? Why do they keep saying a cow? What? And then you find out what it is. Like, oh, okay. They're sort of makeshift rebellion.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of. I have to watch this again because I was just so wowed visually and story wise that I think there's a lot of subtext in here in the idea of discrimination against the other and the other's bonding, and then not only that. We also have the Germans rounding up the Jews and taking them off on the train. So there's multiple sort of others.
Anybody different,
Right. Anybody different in any way. And even, fortunately or unfortunately, Franz's difference has made him sort of a celebrity in terms of his 6-fingered piano playing, I guess, is supposed to be really... really excels at that, but he's not really into it.
No, he wanted to be a soldier, and yet because of his freakness, that was actually as much as I don't want to justify anything his character does because he's a POS, man, he's messed up. The fact that all he wanted to do was be a soldier, and then when he tried to, they laughed at him and just basically tossed it. It's sad. And then his brother treats him like a freak too, and is controlling.
When he's humiliated at that one presentation,
and he just he's so messed up in the head. He really does believe in this whole whatever Third Reich crap and wants to like please and like
until we see how much of a coward he really is when he's running like with his big gun.
He even does a little collateral damage. It's like he fires a gun and he shoots one of his German soldiers.
So, but what I find interesting is what made him think that this group, this foursome was going to be the answer. I didn't see anything in his visions that showed that they
walked out of the light at the end of the vision. Yeah.
So I didn't see anything that made them seem like they were going to be, the salvation of.
Well, he kept seeing it. His visions would end with Hitler shooting himself, and he felt that these four would change that.
Yeah, why though?
That's why?
Well, because they had stuff other than the normal stuff. Like the one guy, he could have like deformity, I guess, of his hand, but they had more than that, because the furry guy had really great strength.
Yeah,
the little guy had the ability to be magnetic. So they had specialty powers that were beyond just a normal deformity. Like even though he has 6 hands, he has the ability to see into the future.
Fingers.
Yeah, I didn't see. I didn't see it either, Crystal. I was looking for something in his visions that would have
if I
told
were
me.
him, I would think that I'd need to kill him.
Yeah, he's presumptuous. Yeah, he's presuming.
Yeah, not that I should like recruit them or whatever
And I think it's because he thinks they're like himself, right?
I think they're comparing them to him.
Yeah,
that's what I see. Yeah.
Maybe they'll make him look more normal.
Right.
And if they can really do special things that could
make him special.
Okay.
He wants to be the Professor X.
I can get this going on.
Professor X to the other mutants.
Then it would make him look less freaky. Yeah.
But he takes care
this
of that.
director seems to like stuff like that. His other Christopher, I don't know if you looked at it, but his first full-length feature before this was called, well, the translation or Americanization is They Call Me Jig.
They Call Me Jig, yeah.
And it's about a guy that, after coming in contact with radioactive waste, small-time crook gained super strength.
Cool.
So it's another one where a person has.
I wrote that down. I'm going to try to seek that out because
it's available all over the place.
Oh, is it?
It is? Okay.
Yeah,
I'm gonna watch.
Tubi, Canopy, Crackle.
Oh, nice. Tubi. Okay.
I may watch that this week.
Tubi. I think we've said a lot about this, and there's a lot more we could say, but we're running out of time. So let's go ahead and give our score 1 to 5. Anything below a 4 is not acceptable.
Yeah,
I'm
I
just
mean, I
kidding.
don't think that's a problem, though.
and then pick your favorite scene, and only one. Ooh, but no, we can pick more than one if you want. All right. Who is first? I believe Jeff is first. Jeff, let us have it.
Oh God. I
How
feel
close?
bad for going first and taking a seat. Well,
No, you don't.
you know,
No, don't feel
I
bad.
guess I'm going 5 because I was just hypnotized by this movie. And I'm going to do 2 things. Maybe we can all do that. I'm going to do your favorite scene and most surprising scene.
Well, I think
Or
the
maybe
most
Doc wants to
surprising
do
is
that one.
obvious.
No, there's a couple. So there's a couple. But
So favorite scene has got to be
Christopher's got it.
the end when Matilda finally lets her powers loose. I just thought that was just astonishing, just far beyond any expectation or anything I've ever seen like that. And then for surprising scene, and we'll probably would all say this, but when the little guy Mario, the magnetic guy, they stick him on a big wooden wheel and rotate him around. And he has a sizable male member, and as he goes around, you just see it flop and go around.
Yeah.
Like this.
That's why they were so excited about giving him
the
a
tub,
pad.
Yeah, because she put her thing like, oh, I think she touched his member.
I didn't even.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, I
I'm
need to touch it.
So this
Oh
is
my
not.
gosh.
You could say he's a tripod. Let's put it that way.
It doesn't have a rating on.
didn't
I was looking
even-
on Amazon. It says 18 plus. It's not for children. I don't think there's a heck of a lot of violence and open nudity and sex scenes. And,
I was surprised when that happened. I was like, oh my!
I was
and,
really
and
surprised.
the way they
I
visually
was-
did it was just made it like
what? Yeah, what can I say? What balls to put that?
Oh my goodness. Christopher, sir, what is your score and favorite scenes?
This is a 5 out of 5 for me.
Oh, nice.
I really was blown. Like I said, I was blown away by this film. This is a well-crafted film that more people should see and shouldn't shy away from it if they don't like foreign films, because I think this is so. Yeah, and this checks all the boxes for me because, like I said, it feels Del Toro-ish. I feel like this feels like Del Toro if he's allowed to be like as
risque
as he was with the Blade, like Blade 2, you know, and then also just if he took some of like his other films, you know, and was allowed to tell the type of films he wanted, and also Tim Burton as well, you know. Favorite scene, and by the way, the special effects with the girl and how her powers come out,
yeah,
perfection. I will say the train car scene where they break in the train car.
Yes,
because it has one of the moments that made me laugh out loud is when he bends that gun back and the guy
shoots himself.
like an idiot, shoots himself in the head.
What
I
an
laughed
idiot.
so loud in my living room watching that.
I don't think the physics worked, but it was still great.
Well, I don't know. Mythbusters said that you could still shoot a gun.
Oh,
even
couldn't
if
you?
it's, yeah.
Okay.
A bent barrel should
if you,
still
with
work.
a bent barrel, you can still shoot it. Yeah, as long as it's still curved.
I did like when
I watched that episode.
The bug guy came in and he's all covered in bees. And...
Yeah.
Bees. That's
again, that was the whole arc of it. There's the way they take these arcs and things they're scared of, and they get past it. At most shocking scene, and this may be stealing Crystal's favorite scene.
You already know.
I thought the most shocking scene was when seeing the Wolfman guy getting it on with the Wolf Girl guy. But you can still use that.
Oh, I'm still taking that.
But because I was like, well, the thing is because they're all covered in fur, they can sort of get away with them actually flesh to flesh. And then they go away and they come back again and they're doing another position. I was like, whoa.
They double down on it.
This is not your father's.
Not surprisingly, she was very hairy.
Yeah, and I was like, for the first time, like, okay, maybe I don't mind. A lot of hair on women, because that was like, wow, she's actually pretty gorgeous the way they made her. But yeah, that I was gonna, other than the guy's dong, clocking around. This sex scene I thought was like, whoa. Yeah, well,
Nice.
this film had a lot of different shocking things like
It
that.
did. It did. Crystal, your score 1 to 5 in your favorite scenes.
Okay, I'm gonna give it a 4.5, which is excellent for me.
Wow.
I know that I did not talk about the German much,
Franz.
but I was fascinated by him and his motivations, and like that did help talking about that. I can absolutely see now why he was thinking. I think he saw them as his salvation into normalcy, even with
Yeah.
his fingers. So my favorite scene is when he cuts off what makes him a freak.
Mm-hmm.
And you notice it's after he's already decided that they're not the ones that he's going to kill him, and then he's like, I don't want to be this anymore. And it was really sad and effed up, and
Well,
I
he
think
got rid
that
of his fear too when he did his brother in. So.
I think that actually says a lot about the movie, and
Mhm.
I think that the characters are pretty amazing. And if you are afraid of subtitles, this is a good movie to see because there's really not that much. There's not a whole hell of a lot of dialogue. There's actually long parts where there's no one saying anything. So I think this is a perfect movie for that. And clearly, the most shocking scene is like hands down. I was just like, oh, oh. And I loved it. I loved it, but it was. I'm still a little shocked by it. It was good though. So 2 thumbs up. Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't care about the other guy wanting to grab the old lady's big old titties.
What? Oh, that was funny. That was not shocking. That was funny.
That was funny.
Yeah.
Please let me touch him. This film. I wasn't originally going to give it a 5, but I am going to give it a 5 after this discussion. I kind of have to
Yay.
give it a 5. It is such a great film. And I think a big part of it is it's the characters on both sides. And a lot of times, you got to have a character that is both menacing and you understand, right? And when they're doing something that they believe is right, even though it's obviously not, it makes them even that much more villainous and authentic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this one worked. So my favorite scene. Gosh, you guys took all the favorite scenes. Well, not all of them, but I was the train actually was awesome.
What about the tiger in the cage? That was awesome.
There's the tiger in the cage is awesome. The entire battle at the end is so well done when the rebels show up, and then they're trying to get the fire, and they're trying to he brings all the bugs, all the locusts to put it out, and he says, I'm sorry, friends. And so I'm going to go with the battle at the end just because of how it kept turning sides, right? Because the Germans were on the other hand at first, but then they had to retreat, but then things started looking bad for the rebels again. And then through it all, Franz is like hiding behind the tank with that big old pistol. And then, and I'm going to go with that. The scene that shocked me the most was when I heard the phone go off. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
What is going on?
Like, what?
And when he goes in there and he sees the modern day phone sitting in the middle of the circus floor on top of the Nazi swastika, and he picks up and just like, well, he just did the weird sniffy thing, and so obviously it was a vision, but it was like, okay, some kind of chemical.
Ether.
Was it ether? Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then what a great way to represent that Nostradamus kind of thing of seeing the future, and then the way he sees it, I thought was so extraordinarily well done, and so because you always wonder, like, why can't they tell us exactly what it is? And it's so fractured what he sees that it makes perfect sense that there's this happens and that happens, and all is bits and pieces. And the way it affected him, the way he was astonished and afraid, and then shocked and hurt, and all these things it was such a great film, and he does such a great job in that role, period. because he's, he's diabolical, but yet he's so broken and fractured at the same time, and vulnerable at times. And like when he cries with his girlfriend holding on to him, it's like, wow, you don't get a villain that does that often and still can be villainous, right?
Because he's broken. He's just
right,
broken.
right. So yeah, this film surprised me, and I was a little concerned too, Jeff, when I saw that it was going to be over 2 hours, but it didn't feel 2 hours at all. It went by so fast. And now I got to see it again.
Yeah.
But then again, I love how he incorporates his visions into his stuff, because there's that one part where he does the Michael Jackson moonwalk.
Oh my God, he does the little arm move to do the Heil Hitler.
Because he sees Michael Jackson's feet in that one vision. And then when he's before his show, he does that. I was like, oh man, because I know about you guys. Another shocking thing is when he's playing the piano for the first time, and when he's like, that is creep.
I know, immediately.
And I was like, am I going crazy?
I was like, yes, that's the perfect song. That's the perfect song.
Now, I don't know. This hit me too, and it was kind of goes to that attention to detail. The confetti that they had when he was
doing little swastikas.
They're little swastikas.
I know. The whole time I'm like, man. A lot of times they do film. I don't know if they do it in foreign countries, but a lot supposedly over here when they do film stuff and they have to create Nazi stuff, they usually destroy it afterwards. So I was like, there's gonna be a lot of stuff they have to destroy after they made this film.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Well, that piano, that the top of that little baby grand that he was playing was like cast aluminum in like the wing of the eagle on the Nazi
something
signal.
They put on it though.
Oh.
Maybe it's something
or even
they take off.
The Nazi fans when they had the whole cabaret-esque type dance stuff.
Oh God, that was so awesome. And how they were doing like the walk.
Yeah, and I'm like, it's that weird kind of like taking stuff that's kind of contemporary and mixing it, so it kind of throws you off. But again, that's not something I've ever seen before, and that's another one of the more surprising things, I think, when you have somebody who has visions and you're like, okay, let's do this contemporary stuff in here, and it kind of throws you off. But it's like, again, that's not something
that could have backfired. That's a move.
It could have. It could have, but it didn't.
Yeah, it was very subtle how they used it. It wasn't.
Nothing
still
was cheesy. That's why you were like cheese, and I'm like, no, nothing.
The cheese was the one guy running around all the time, waka 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 waka. That was the cheese. But
I know. I think the first time when he's out in the field, I'm like what is he doing? Off? And I'm like,
that's what I was.
Yeah, it really messed me up.
Cell and he's chasing
how
the guy
he does
around
it in front of everybody. Well,
when he was in the field, I thought he was going to turn around. It was going to be a masturbation joke, and maybe he's like whittling something.
Nope.
But then later on, when he's in the, like, oh crap, he is masturbating
all over the place.
It reminded me of that one character in Sons of Anarchy. I don't know if you guys ever watched that or not. There was a guy that was obsessively masturbating all the time.
Well, with that note, this is the recommendation to watch this film.
Glad to oblige.
I will
seek
say
it out.
The scene that really got me the most, I alluded to this earlier, that really struck me was when they were taking Israel and all the other people onto the train, and they told them to, leave the bags here, You don't need the bags. Well, you get the idea that they're going to put them on another train, right? And then they drive away. Train pulls away, and it's just the bags there. And I don't know, that struck me pretty hard.
Well, yeah. I mean, because they gave you a little bit, enough to make you really get sad and think about what happened, but they didn't completely focus on it, which I'm thankful for, because I don't.
Well, also, just I noticed also a lot of times when you see this, they had like a couple of actors with Down syndrome. They were shipping off, and so you don't normally see that as well, to where like anybody that the Reich considers to be, not the premier human specimen, they're going to ship off. And so that just made it even, because that one, especially when the one Down syndrome guy started to
got scared and ran away.
Oh, it's horrible.
It's probably that. What's sad is like when he got shot in the back, I was like, dude, that's probably for the best, as horrible as that sounds. Because what were they going to,
It's horrible.
It's like
But again, they had that good balance in the film to where,
Yeah, it's
because you can easily get bogged down in some of the elements of that specific time period.
Yeah, you can also make a misstep and be terrible.
Mhm.
But it was well done, balance and
Very well.
Yep. I think we could just keep talking for
We can
another
keep
couple
talking
hours.
about it forever.
Let's
Yeah.
go ahead. We're about 15 minutes over, so let's go and wrap this up. Christopher, Crystal, Jeff, thank you for joining me. This was absolutely a lot of fun.
Loved it.
Thank
Loved
you
it.
for
This
having
is
me.
a blast. Please
Yes.
seek it out. Please seek this film out.
Yes,
Watch it.
yes.
Do it.
Yeah. Did you say you said it was like streaming?
Right now, it's on
someplace?
pay. This movie is on pay-per-view on most of the major.
Yeah, I saw it. It's on Prime
Okay.
Video. You can rent it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you're lucky, it's in a theater somewhere.
I would love to see this in a theater.
Well,
Yeah.
That's
Interesting.
yeah. I wonder if Alamo will get it at some point.
Oh,
I may have to talk to them
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah,
Yes.
they should. They should. Definitely play to their audience. All right, let's go ahead and leave. Let's say good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Gruesome Magazine.
So we all loved it.